I have to say, Nicola Sturgeon was just a bit upset that we hadn't talked about Nicola Sturgeon for a little bit, and she does love a press conference, doesn't she? I wonder, though, when she says, that there is a renewed case for a second Scottish referendum, she doesn't really want to have one, does she? What she wants is to have battles with the Westminster government and this awful Boris Johnson to not get one, because if she actually had one, it's very likely she would lose it again. And the worst case scenario would be to have one and win it, and then you wouldn't be able to blame the English for everything that goes wrong in Scotland.
It's a fair point, and Boris Johnson is certainly toxic north of the border. She released Nicola Sturgeon at a press conference yesterday at Bute House, the Scottish First Minister's residence and office, alongside Patrick Harvie, the Green MSP, who they're in sort of a kind of coalition with. She released a paper called Independence in the Modern World, Wealthier, Happier, Fairer. Why not Scotland? Making a comparison between Scotland and other European countries. And apparently there are more papers to come, Julia. It's very exciting. Looking at currency, tax and spend, defence, social security and pensions, and EU membership and trade. So this is going to go on and on and on.
It is. It never does stop. I mean, the thing is, we think, Brexit debates in 2016 all the way through to 2020, or even now, bitter and nasty and divisive. The Scottish referendum was absolutely, I mean, let's be honest, it was pretty foul, actually, in terms of the level of debate and the abuse that happened. I'm very consistent on my issues in terms of democracy. I believe if the people of Scotland want to vote for independence, if they want to elect a government as they've done with a mandate, I believe she has got a mandate to hold a referendum, then they should be allowed to hold another referendum. They voted for it, they should be allowed to have it. You can have another referendum on joining the EU again if enough people vote for a party that has a mandate to do that when they get into government. The question is whether or not the Scottish people would vote for it or not.
Well, indeed, and even with that, we were told this was a once-in-a-generation referendum in 2014. I don't think you can call sort of eight years a generation.
I mean, even on the worst sinker state, you're not getting another generation up that quickly, are you?
Harsh, but yes, I think there will be another referendum at some stage, no doubt. And the real figure, certainly in 2014, was that there'll be a sort of never-ending. They just keep going until they got Scottish independence. It's interesting, actually, in Northern Ireland, in regard to it being a united Ireland, you can't have a referendum more than once every 7 years or so. So maybe Nicola Sturgeon sort of has that in mind or not. But no, she's going to keep going. She's going to keep producing these papers. She's going to keep blaming Boris Johnson and talking about Scottish independence for some time to come.
Indeed. I mean, you've got to remember the Brexit referendum, that took, quite a few elections, that there was quite clearly a mandate for that to happen. Everyone thought that David Cameron was going to try and get out of it. And he was, I think, gutted that he had to hold that referendum. He resigned as soon as we had the result. But this is the thing. I mean, people have a right to self-determination, but there are lots more issues, quite apart from the issues of the finances. What currency would Scotland have? And so we're going to have we'll have the pound. Well, that's fine, but the Bank of England will control things for the benefit of England, not for any other country like Scotland who chooses to keep it. What do we do with the nuclear weapons? What do we do also trade in the border? Because we've seen what's happened with the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland with what's happened. If Scotland is desperate to free itself from the chains of Westminster to then join the EU and have Brussels be in charge of everything, there's no doubt at all we are into a whole heap of difficulty when it comes to that border.
Absolutely. And what about Scotland's oil as well? There are all these kinds of
Britain's oil.
So Britain's oil. And so on. It just goes on and on and on. So there are so many issues to be worked out and talked about. And actually, that's what, in fairness to Nicola Sturgeon, that's what she wants to do with some of these papers. She wants to put some meat in the bone and actually do some preparation in terms of what an independent Scotland would actually look like, and preparing for that eventuality if it in fact happens. So it really is attempting to put some meat in the bone.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Scottish independence, Northern Ireland joining the Republic of Ireland, Wales will go. We'll end up with, I think, London's going to be a sort of Monaco-style city-state at this rate.
Like Singapore, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That was what apparently everyone's always said they wanted. Great to talk to you, Peter Cardboard there, Talk Radio's political editor.